case you're wondering why I so regularly say on this channel that Islam is incompatible with Western civilization, lock in because your blood is about to boil. And I'm about to prove this once and for all with the Rape Gang Inquiry Report posted by Rupert Lowe, Member of Parliament and leader of the Restore Britain movement. This is the most viral thing on all of X with 30 million views, 52,000 reposts, 137,000 likes, and the most talked about 40,000 saves. I've never seen anything like that. The single most talked about government report in the history of Western nations, I think, in my lifetime. What is this report? Well, it's very long. It's 300 pages. I'm sorry, it's 220 pages. So let us summarize it. The Rape Gang Inquiry is a report that estimates 250,000 victims since the 1950s, with 95% of the perpetrators in examined cases being Muslim men of predominantly Pakistani heritage, involving tactics like drugging, gang rape, trafficking, and racial abuse of vulnerable white working class girls, the girls that have always made up the United Kingdom. It details a systemic institutional cover-up by police, councils, and services driven by political correctness fears and sparking widespread public outrage and demands for accountability. So what has happened here is the rape of Britain. What is detailed in this report is the systemic categorization and rape of Britain. You can see here where there are suspected and confirmed rape gang activities that have gone on for decades. Now, what happens when you are a conquered people, and this has happened throughout all of the histories of Islam, starting with Muhammad, is rape and sex slavery of non-Islamic women. The UK grooming scandal proves this, obviously, but also let's go ahead and look at the historic and religious context, just so that you understand this isn't something that is happening because of England or some type of policy or friction that is occurring with Muslims, particularly in England. It's everywhere. Concubinage, the Quran permits it. It's a sexual abuse of a female slave or a captive. Historical Islamic conquest involving enslaved and raping non-Muslim women as war spoils. Muhammad has examples of this. He didn't ban it. In fact, Muhammad married a 6-year-old. As a matter of fact, they describe his marriage contract with a 6- and 7-year-old, and she moved in with Muhammad. He was 53 at the time. This is something that is widely accepted, as Muhammad was, again, a warlord and conqueror. And when he conquered, they had non-Muslims, especially women, seen as lesser, subordination and subjugation to sexual availability in conquest. Modern echoes of jihadist rhetoric. You see rape culture in modern-day ISIS and Muslim countries. Apologists emphasize consent or abolitionist trends, but pre-modern consensus allowed concubinage, reformist views to clash with Orthodox sources. Islamic groups regularly practice sex slavery and concubinage to this day. Pakistani Muslim communities in the UK show parallel patterns with concubinage or sex slavery, like cousin marriages, honor culture, segregation, higher inbreeding, impulse control issues, and supremacist teaching in mosques. Not all Muslims, some condemn it, and victims can include Muslim girls, but statistical overrepresentations of these specific groups and crimes are not a far-right myth. The broader European migrant rape stats in Sweden, Germany, France show similar immigration, North African Muslim overrepresentation. So you need to understand what you are dealing with here. The rape of Britain. Finally, someone is coming out and saying it. This is part of Islam. Islam does teach that those who are non-Muslims are lesser than and are to be subjected, abused, or taken advantage of by Muslims. That's empirical. It's in the writings. It's in the hadiths. It's in the Quran. And If you don't like that, then you can go back and read the source material. And you can go follow the practices of this religion for the last couple thousand years. But to invite this religion into your home and into your country, and to not expect there to be cousin marriages, child brides, rape gangs, mass fraud, from when you're importing them from countries that have child marriages and cousin marriages and rape gangs and mass fraud and sectarian violence and extreme segregation and supremacist ideology. What are we thinking in the West? We're not. Stop calling them Asian grooming gangs, says Rupert Lowe. They're not Japanese. Call them what they are. Pakistani Muslim rape gangs. So unbelievably critical to understand. Our inquiry report proves that without a doubt, there is an undeniable link between religion and rape gangs. Islam. As a country, we need to find the courage to finally say this. Islam is a religion that has an allowance for this. Doesn't mean that every single Muslim is a serial gang rapist. It means that you can find culturally this to be a practice in Islamic countries and in Islamic teachings. And that is extremely problematic in the left. You cannot find this, of course, in any Christian teachings. And so that is where we get incompatibility, because Muslims did not found the West. In fact, the West fought Muslims in order to keep this ideology out of our nations. And now, of course, we invite it through the front door. Here we go. Essentially, what has happened in the decaying political establishment has imported millions of migrants from alien cultures that are entirely incompatible with the British way of life. Those migrants have colonized large parts of our country and live their lives as they choose to do so because the authorities are too frightened of being called a racist to challenge them. This has meant attitudes have flourished and spread, which in short treat women and non-Muslims like shit. And yes, I do mean that. Conservative, labor, reform politicians all directly responsible for this vast importation. Personally, I will never forgive anybody responsible. Vulnerable working-class white girls were treated like a piece of meat, raped, abused, tortured, murdered. It was all a racial attack. It was a coordinated attack all across Britain. They targeted these girls because they were vulnerable, they were young, and they were white. Until the political class accepts this fact, nothing will ever change. These men do not live by the same rules as us. It is all beyond evil. And it is a coordinated network of organized crime right across the country. It's not random groups of scumbags doing this. It's a network, organized, ruthless, efficient industry. It's not homegrown. We imported it. A Restore Britain government will remove millions of foreign nationals who hate our way of life and have no reason to be in our country. Gone, never allowed to come back. With the British people's approval, we will reintroduce the death penalty. If a Pakistani man has been gang raping a young English girl, torturing her, passing her around to his brothers to be raped, we will put him to death. I look forward to that. I really do. Our report has outlined the exact recommendations on what needs to be done to eradicate this cancer. Restore Britain government will deliver. We will use the full force of the British state to crack down on these rapists and enablers in the most ruthless fashion imaginable. It will be swift and ruthless and will be done finally. And I include their enablers in that. This is why Farage tried to put me in prison because I wanted to deport complicit foreign family members. He found that very extreme. Hearing the evidence and testimonies provided in the inquiry, I can tell you that is the moderate position. I want the scumbags gone, deported, never to allowed back. For the worst among them, I want them permanently removed. Restore Britain will get called extreme, racist, Islamophobic. I do not give a shit. I just grateful that it is finally a political party with the courage to do what needs to be done. We are going to get our country back. We are going to restore Britain, he says. 1 million views, 10,000 reposts, 46,000 likes. This report has gone viral, as have the mugshots of the gangs. Make no bones about it, Starmer's regime, online censorship attacks on all fronts are designed to stop more people from seeing this report on rape gangs. Share it everywhere. Everywhere. Our elected officials are picking this up. This is why I will never stop fighting to defend American culture, end Muslim immigration, and never allow Sharia to take hold of our nation. Unbelievable. Keir Starmer was the director of public prosecutions and failed or refused to prosecute 13,000 known or suspected child rapists or pedophiles. This is so much worse than anything that happened in the Jeffrey Epstein files. There are many bad things in the Jeffrey Epstein files. There are people that need to go to prison for that. This is institutionally worse. Let us be perfectly honest about that. Let's be clear. UK leadership allowed 250,000 little girls and their nation's daughters to be abused and gang raped by Pakistani Muslims to protect their policy of open borders multiculturalism. There should be a Nuremberg-style trials and executions. The consistent tactics, befriending the vulnerable girls as young as 11, gifts, drugs, alcohol before subjecting them to group rapes, violence, blackmail pregnancies, forced conversions, and trafficking. UK institutions, including the police, social services, catastrophically failed the victims through denial, ignored reports, criminalization of victims, destruction of evidence, prioritization of political correctness, fears of racist accusations. 95% of them were Muslim, most of them Pakistani gangs, but also Iranian, Syrian, Turkish, Somali, Muslim. Perpetrators operated under an honor and shame-based clan code that treated non-Muslim girls, especially white working-class girls, as property. And as we have established, that is something that is permissible in Islamic teaching. Not a single major British news outlet has covered the release of this report. Ask yourself why. Unforgivable is what this is being called. Truly evil. Keir Starmer is now signing a illegal migration pact. Like in your face. 250,000. Forced Islamic conversion. Lifelong shame. One thing I'm taking from the rape gang report is British social workers are some of the most evil, sadistic perverts on the planet. Huge number of the most egregious cases of abuse involve a social worker standing by and letting it happen, or actively facilitating it. Some absolutely critical takes here from Matt Walsh. Rape gangs are not some kind of aberration. Ask any combat veteran what they saw in Afghanistan, and I have multiple veterans in my family. The sexual torture and slavery of children is utterly commonplace in Muslim countries as part of their culture, which is why it is suicidal to import that culture to the West. Matt saying here, there is a much stronger case to be made for invading the UK, toppling the tyrannical government, and liberating its people than pretty much any other regime change, including Iran, over the past 30 years. Wow. Keir Starmer issued warning letters to the rapists. Warning letters. Keir Starmer's director, he had 13,000 suspected rape gang members and pedophiles. They were let off with warning letters. This is the current Prime Minister of England. 95% of rape gang members were Muslim. Heinous. This is approximately 1 million times worse than Epstein, not even remotely close to the scale, the nature of the crimes, the powerful institutions implicated. And yet something tells me that many of the Epstein obsessives are going to say nothing about it. Social services called a 13-year-old girl racist and recommended contraceptives to her instead of denouncing her Pakistani rapist. Social services returned the girl to a grooming gang not to be racist. Every newspaper in the UK is silent. They are complicit. Yes, they are. I only know about this through X. It's correct. They were raped predominantly by Muslims. Mass migration is the death of the West. And this is all coming to the United States, probably already happening in a lot of places. First batch of grooming gang access cases returned to police to reinvestigate. National Crime Agency says Operation Beacon Port is UK's most comprehensive and complex investigation. So they're finally trying to fix this. They're now, because of the public pressure, they are now reopening the grooming gang cases, where lines of inquiry may have been missed. You can see here from Sky News. Absolute cucks. The media was infinitely more outraged at one career criminal choking on fentanyl than 250,000 innocent little girls being raped. Total psychopaths, all of them. The undeniable linkage. A 14-year-old girl told a social worker she was being sexually abused. The social worker asked if she wanted to audition because of her experience. She was trafficked across Britain for 6 months, raped by multiple men. When police finally found her abuser and released without charges, she was sent home. This is the official report. This happened on British soil to a British child. Why isn't this front page news in the entire world? These politicians need to go to prison. They must all go to prison. I have daughters, I have children, I have a soul, and I have nothing but hatred in my heart for the people who allow this and the cultures that allow this. It's the greatest disgrace to your ancestors and mine, who went and fought and died in the great wars of our ancestors, all of them, in order for the mythos that they would somehow protect those wars from coming to our soil. And then we import the purveyors of those wars and those wicked cultures through the front door in order to commit war crimes against our children and our daughters. It is the greatest disgrace. Why don't you just go and desecrate every grave in Arlington? None of those men died. None of those men died. So somebody named Zaire Mohammed can come here and start a rape gang with his Pakistani brothers. No, like, they died for the opposite of that. By doing that, again, you desecrate every bit of sacrifice that ever happened so that we could just raise our children in peace amongst our culture. I believe that our culture is the best culture. It's why I live here. I am an American supremacist. But their culture can be their culture in their land, very far away from here. And if that's what they want to do, let them do it. But they mustn't be allowed to do it on my soil and my land that I have a birthright to. And that's what everyone is saying. And this, Henry Novak, the beheading, the near beheading in Northern Ireland, all of the horrors of open immigration in our land and visited upon our nation, it's all leading to one spot, which is the total and complete reversal and forced remigration of cultures that are incompatible with the West, as we have always done in the West, actually. And that is the necessary step that has to be taken in order to preserve Western institutions. What happens when every American is gone from America? It ceases to be America. It becomes something entirely different. So that is how you preserve. And let me just say this in closing. A Jewish state or an Islamic state or a communist state, a communist atheist state like China, would never allow their cultures to be poisoned like this. Like, they would never allow foreign or alien cultures, and I'm sure our culture is quite alien to them, to come in and be purposefully abused and literally raped like this. Of course, they would never allow it. Everyone would be put to death. The government would swiftly bring an end to it and wouldn't even ask the courts, they would just look the other way and go do what needs to be done. It is only us, the weaklings of the West, that somehow have let our vanguard down, and it must be put back up. We must have the side up for your daughters, for my daughters, for our children, for your children, and for the future. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe if you agree. If you don't agree, well, someday you'll learn that I'm right.